Ladies and gentlemen, according to Gallup, President Trump's job approval rating is at 49%. However, ladies and gentlemen, it is at 60%. 60% pertaining to his handling of the current crisis. If you listen to Democrats, media, Hollywood celebrities that you wouldn't know were it not for their disdain and contempt for President Trump, he can't do anything right. But according to Gallup, he has a 60% approval rating. A 60% approval rating among American voters pertaining to his handling of the crisis. This is what's really interesting. Among independents, he's up 8 points at 43%. But among Democrats, independents, he's going to win the election. He's going to defeat Hillary Clinton. Clinton is going to be the nominee. Biden is as realistic as Michael Bloomberg was. But let's just continue with this. Independents, 43%. Okay. But Democrats, he's up 6 points at 13%. Now, he's gaining. He's won Democratic Party voters. Okay? How bad does it have to be for the Democratic Party when President Trump is actually winning Democratic Party voters? So then you have the New York Times. Who are the voters behind Trump's higher approval rating? They are like completely at a loss for words. They don't know what to do. They're so they're bewildered, and they have no clue as to why even Democrats support President Trump. So I'm going to read you this. This is a couple hours back. Despite the president's slow performance on the crisis. Oh, yeah. Look at what Andrew Cuomo and Gavin Newsom were talking about in January and February. California and New York were dreadfully slow to address all of this because when you talk about January and February, they're state of the state addresses. That's the governor's State of the Union address or the governor's address for his or her state. Gavin Newsom and especially Andrew Cuomo. Well, Gavin Newsom in February, but both of them, and Whitmer in Michigan and Inslee in Washington. You can look at these state of the state addresses. What were they talking about? For each of the governors, each of the Democratic governors I mentioned, Cuomo, Newsom, Inslee, and Whitmer, none of them mentioned anything to do about, not zero mention in their speeches about ventilators, about masks, about the current crisis. Gee, I wonder why. Because they were horrendously and dreadfully unprepared. They were completely inept and irresponsible, and they were focused on like Green New Deal legislation or like solar energy and things that had nothing to do with the current crisis. So you can't blame President Trump, and people know this. Then you have Nancy Pelosi. It's like, oh yeah, people's lives. You could link that to Trump. It's like, well, you try to remove the president. It was like the beginning of April when people just stopped talking about... the beginning of February when people stopped talking about impeachment. They tried to literally remove the president from this. They impeached Trump based on the belief that he withheld military assistance because he was afraid of Biden. Nobody's afraid of Biden. The only people afraid of Biden are the Democratic Party. So President Zelensky, the leader of the Ukraine, stated there was no quid pro quo. There was no leverage. So the whole thing was a complete scam. Just like the Democratic Party, a theatrical performance, a farce, a complete and utter hoax. But anyway, Democrats were focused on impeachment. Before that, they were focused on the Mueller probe. Before that, they were focused on the Steele dossier. They make up their own... They promote their own fantasies because the reality is that Democrats, like Madam Secretary, actually did commit crimes. You can't own servers with top secret intelligence. But anyway, it's impossible from a cybersecurity perspective to have servers running outside of the United States government for 4 years? 4 years? That had top secret and special access program intelligence. Gee, I wonder why all the wonderful cybersecurity experts on Twitter, I'm not on Twitter or Facebook, but I wonder, all these wonderful cybersecurity experts, do you think that they know how Clinton transferred the top secret and special access program intelligence? But anyway, onto servers running on Microsoft Exchange software outside of the United States government. But anyway, the New York Times, who are the voters? Who are the voters behind Trump's higher approval rating? They're basically asking, who are these people? Because they live in such a bubble. They don't understand why 60% of Americans would back President Trump during his handling of this crisis of all different backgrounds. They don't understand that. They're at a complete loss for words here. Despite the president's slow performance, some independent voters and Democrats are giving him a measure of credit for his handling of the crisis. This is really unbelievable because you have the New York Times sounding like H.A. Goodman, sounding like you watching this channel. Almost certainly, you're watching this channel, you're saying, yeah, President Trump did a good job. Or you're saying President Trump did an all right job. Or you're saying he did a great job. But you're not saying that, oh my God, he was horrendous. Oh my God, how can we have this president? You're probably not saying this if you're watching this. But here, Justin Penn, this is the article. A Pittsburgh voter who calls himself politically independent favored Joe Biden in a matchup with President Trump. So this is a Biden voter, but the president's performance during the crisis has him reconsidering. Quote, I think he's handling it pretty well, he said of the president. This is just a Biden voter. This is an average Biden voter who, by the way, will vote for Clinton. Democrats will vote for Clinton. So, I mean, the average Biden voter is propped up by the I'm with her crowd. So, quote, I think he's handled it pretty well, he said of the president, whose daily White House appearances this Biden voter catches on Facebook after returning from his job as a bank security guard. Quote, I think he's tried to keep people calm. I know some people don't think he's taking it seriously, but I think he's doing the best with the information he had. Although this voter, 40 years old, said he did not vote for President Trump, his opinion of the president has improved recently, and he very well might back him for a second term. Hello, across the country, the crisis is... Okay, so yet the president's approval ratings are as high as they have ever been. Because the average person, the average Joe, of all different backgrounds, Democrats, you petulant, malicious, groupthink imbeciles, of all different backgrounds, of all different ideologies, in a way, they look at President Trump, they know he didn't cause this, number one, and they know that Democrats were not focused on this, number two, and they know that media is trying to sensationalize every aspect of this, number three, and they know that President Trump is there. You know, it's important in life, in a relationship, in family, friends, it's important to be there. It's important to be there. It's important to be present when people need you. And President Trump is there. His daily conferences, his daily press briefings show that he is with the average American. You can let's say you're watching this. You can disagree with him. Go ahead and disagree with him. Go ahead and say, oh, well, those press conferences are really bad. Where's Biden's daily press conference? Just recently, I saw an interview. I'm not going to do it on this channel. I'll do it on H.A. Goodman's other channel. Check out that channel. Subscribe to it. I have a great segment. He's actually speaking to a journalist. I believe it was on MSNBC. And he's talking about how Trump has been like this kind of yo-yo up and down. And he makes this vertical, how shall I say this? Depending on where your mind is at right now, he makes this vertical hand gesture. Okay, then the journalist or reporter is completely embarrassed, and then Biden just shrugs it off because he is not, the term now is cringe, but it's beyond cringe. It is it's gone into the realm of the absurd. I will have made the biggest political call of all time, ladies and gentlemen. Hillary Clinton is going to be the nominee, and I am the only person since 2016 who has told you this. Truth be told, Hillary Clinton is the only chance Democrats have. I give her a 10% chance of being president, but President Trump will win. I give him 90% chance of being president. He will be reelected, but there's a chance if you do not vote that Hillary Clinton will be the president of the United States of America. So vote. She'll run again in 2024. Democrats have nobody. Anyone they could possibly have, they've cheated, or they've marginalized, or they work for Russia. So there you go. Or they've accused of working for Russia. The Democratic Party is pretty much done after this election, which will be fantastic. But it's going to be Clinton versus Trump again. And all of this, they don't even care if Clinton loses because they will never go with Biden, and they certainly will never go with Bernie Sanders. With Clinton, they'll get the popular vote again, okay? But with Biden, they wouldn't even get the popular vote. He's horrendous. They are completely delusional. They're completely and utterly delusional. It doesn't matter if the former vice president takes off his clothes and runs down Pennsylvania Avenue singing a Backstreet Boys song. Ain't nothing but a hot egg, fat, hey, fat. It doesn't matter because they despise Bernie Sanders with every fiber of their being. They don't want him there. They wish he never ran. They wish he was never around. And they said, well, you know what? If he is going to cause us problems, let's just have him funnel left-leaning or progressive. There is no word called progressive. It's just left-leaning votes. Have them funnel left-leaning votes back into the Democratic Party. Who knows what a progressive is? AOC's not backing Bernie Sanders anymore, really. Elizabeth Warren isn't. That we know that. Well, I don't care. I'm a Trump supporter. I used to be part of that world. And let me tell you, it's the most dysfunctional, unhealthy world. Trust me. If you're part of that world, get out. Vote Trump. You don't even have to tell anyone because then you'll lose friends. It's their problem, not yours. Believe me, it's their problem. And then when Trump wins again, they'll look in the mirror and they'll be like, oh my God. Anyway, across the country. So this New York Times article is basically saying, what's the problem? Why is he actually gaining in support? Why is President Trump gaining in support? Why haven't we done a good enough job to prevent Trump from winning? Because media, you're inept, and President Trump actually plays your game better than you play it. But here, while public perceptions are fluid in a crisis, here we go. A notable twist in polling at this point is that independents are driving Mr. Trump's bump in approval, and some increased Democratic support is a factor as well. Gallup called that, quote, highly unusual for Trump in reporting in its latest survey, which was released last week, and showed Mr. Trump's approval rating, yeah, baby, at 49%, equal to the best of his presidency. While Republicans' views of Mr. Trump were flat, a sign they had already topped out, meaning like literally 92%. Don't you love? This is the duplicity and the insidious nature of the media. The New York Times, they could have just simply cited the poll or read the poll. The poll is that the Republicans are at 92% report to support to the New York Times. It's their flat. Approval by independents rose by 8 points from early March, while Democrats' approval rose by 6 points. Yeah. But the approval rating among Republicans is like at an all-time high. He's at I think even surpassing Ronald Reagan levels. Okay? The two Americas that people see, ladies and gentlemen, the two Americas, it's not really that there are two different Americas. It's that there are losers, who lost the last election, who are like megalomaniacal imbeciles who think that Trump worked with Russia and can't even admit that Bernie Sanders was cheated. And I blame also Bernie for that too. Bernie Sanders should have fought the 1% and showed a spine and courage and integrity and chutzpah and said, yeah, you cheated me, Democrats. It wasn't Russia. He never acknowledged that he was cheated, which is another reason the Democrats are going to implode in a scene that will be like throughout the cosmos. You'll be able to see the implosion. It'll be like a dumpster inferno. That can you imagine after 4 years, 2017, 18, 19, and on all of 2020, and President Trump wins again against Clinton? They're not going with Biden. Okay, look, I know people say, let's put it, this is how bad, this is how horrendous, okay, Biden is. Okay, how horrendous. Let's say after 4 years, me being the only person, three and a half, the only person to say Hillary Clinton's going to be nominee again, and she will, and she could possibly win. Let's say I'm the only, let's say, for example, in some alternate reality, because Clinton's going to be nominee 100%. But let's say in an alternate reality that Biden becomes nominee, they will lose the popular vote. It will be an epic defeat, electoral college defeat, and the party will implode a lot faster. So people will even forget the fact that I talked about Clinton, which, by the way, will be the biggest political call of all time. That's how horrendous Biden is. So people say, what happens if Biden's the nominee? He won't be. Hillary Clinton will be. But it'll be so horrendous that people will just party on my channel, on H.A. Goodman and H.A. Goodman's other channel. When Trump absolutely obliterates the Biden campaign, it won't be Biden. It'll be Hillary Clinton. She has a chance to win. If you don't vote, Clinton will become president. I'm letting you know that now. But President Trump will win again. He'll defeat Hillary Clinton again. Give me your thoughts below. Democrats are even supporting Trump, which is amazing. Give me your thoughts. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel. If you want to support my voice long term, I know that it is just very interesting times, but if you want to support my voice, my Patreon link is below. I will have a live stream at like around about 4 p.m. today. Thank you so much, everyone. Democrats now support Trump. Can you believe that?